All right. What's up, JC?
Yeah, hey Patrick. Let me mute over
Oh,
here.
all right.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out what the whole interview was all about. Seems like they bombarded you with questions. You seem to have answered every one of them. Anyways, yeah. As regard to the ethics part of the, people keep talking about that the guy had a warrant, right? So I have that question, and I want to know what your take is. It's just that simple question, and I think this is going to clarify ethics for a lot of people, especially the conservative types, right? There is a myth out there that a felony warrant warrants a police officer to basically shoot somebody and even kill them if the individual tries to escape detention or arrest. What is your take on that?
I don't care much about the law or a felony or a warrant or any of those legal definitions of the terms. I'm concerned with more libertarian ethics. And so
Hmm.
the ethics of a situation, like for example, rape or sexual assault, is in doing so you give up your right to complain about being attacked by people. Like if you think it's okay to rape or to attack somebody, especially sexually, then you give up sort of your ability to complain when other people attack you. And that could be somebody seeking restitution, in the same like if you steal something from somebody, you give up your right to complain when somebody comes and steals from you. It's just simple reciprocative ethics.
So on the ethical part, we're talking about a victim being left behind, correct? Because I don't care about the law either.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And
Yeah,
the
so
only
if the
reason,
felony is for like, drug possession or something, then, obviously that would, you're not justified in even, stopping the person because it's not a crime. There's no victim. Yeah.
like, so that's kind of like the point I wanted to make. Because I had a felony warrant at one point, right? And I sent you a video. You can watch it on your own. That's already taken care of, right? I may end up going to prison for 2 years, okay? And that's okay, you know. That doesn't mean that life is over. I'm gonna move on, and that's it. So
That's
that's so
terrible.
much
What
for
what
America.
was the
Yeah,
what was the so-called crime?
possession of a firearm.
So a non-crime then. Were you threatening
Exactly.
anyone or hurting anyone, or
No,
it was just
no, no,
possessing it?
no, not possessing it in California. Correct. Yeah,
Oh, so not a crime. Okay. Yeah, so that
yeah,
makes them
that
entirely in the wrong if they do anything to you, for sure.
exactly. So, and that's the point. It's a felony in California for anybody who does not register and possesses a firearm in public, especially if it's loaded. Okay, so basically, you don't have the right to self-defense. It doesn't matter if they talk about guns restrictions and all that. They're restricting your right to self-defense.
Yep.
That's it. The question is self-defense. It's not the firearm thing, not the Second Amendment. All that is nonsense. It's the
Yep.
right to self-defense. To have something readily accessible with equal force, especially for a short guy like me. There may be somebody, and I've been assaulted at gunpoint, and I've been beaten up in San Francisco shithole. Excuse the language, but yeah. And the cops just stood there, did nothing. They just turned around and walked away. So that's when I realized, man, I'm not walking around Cali without carrying. So, and that's just the way it was. So,
Yeah.
anyways, learning lesson. And the point I'm trying to make is like, especially for these conservative types. And again, I'm not here like to bash on anybody. Just to kind of clarify, when people make the claim that the individual had a felony warrant. So the question I ask for those people that say, well, he was a felon or had a felony warrant, does just because they have that F or that felony title on the record, does that warrant anybody uh, to commit aggression against them, and does that deprive the individual from from self-defense to defend their person or property from injury? And I'm not talking about, excuse me, I'm not talking about like violent crime that the individual committed, like something where he left the victim. I'm talking about felonies such as possession of something, in this case, firearms, whatever, right? So that's kind of like my take, and so that's my question to everybody: does the word felony immediately revoke anybody's right to self-defense.
Well,
What's your take on it?
the word felony in and of itself, when used in modern times, usually includes, like we just talked about, a long list of things that aren't actually crimes. And so the word felony unqualified does not necessarily mean that somebody is, not still deserving of rights. The right to self-defense, the right to not be stolen from, the right to not be harmed. It's not necessarily the case. But, and I think most people think about this stuff from the wrong direction. They think, does he still have the right to self-defense? Well, I think most people think about rights inaccurately, incorrectly. Rights are a mutual reciprocal understanding between sentient beings. That's a two-way active street. The state of nature is that anybody can harm anybody at any time. That's a fact of reality. There's no magic piece of constitution paper. There's no magic, thing called rights that will jump in front of somebody to stop a punch or to block a bullet. None of that stuff is real. The reality of the situation is that anybody can hurt anyone at any time. That's what I call the state of nature. That is an amoral state of being where there is no ethics, there's no morals in play. It's just like cavemen. It's just like lions, in the desert kind of thing. It's the state that animals exist in, non-sentient beings exist in. And when somebody commits a violent crime or a crime with a victim, they are removing themselves from the realm of ethics. They are placing themselves back down into the state of nature, the state where there is no rules. The state where it's might makes right. The state where anybody can attack anybody at any time with no expectations of safety. So when you hurt somebody, when you commit a crime, steal their stuff, commit sexual assault, like this guy it's alleged that he did, you are removing yourself from the realm in which you can demand that other people respect your rights. You don't get to do that if you don't respect other people's rights. If you don't reciprocate rights, then you lose the claim against other people to say, no, you can't hurt me. I demand that you respect my person and my property and my safety. You can't do that if you don't return that, if you don't reciprocate that back to other people. I think that's the way we need to think about rights. It's a privilege gained and earned by reciprocating it, by respecting other people's rights, by not attacking other people. And it's a privilege that you can very quickly and easily lose when you choose to hurt people and take their stuff. So if this guy is a rapist or a sexual assaulter or whatever, and this is all alleged, right? What matters is what actually happened, not even what's alleged. That's another important distinction. But, if this guy did do those things, if he, I think there was a past charge for pointing a gun in a bar, and then there's 3 open charges for the warrant: sexual assault, domestic, you got criminal trespass. I forgot what it was now, but there were 3 of them. If he is that type of person that does not reciprocate rights, then he doesn't get to complain when anybody, Blue Line gang member or random person on the street, does harmful things to him, because he has already told other people where he wants to interact with them at. He doesn't want to interact with them up here in the land of morals and rights. Oh no, he wants to interact with them down here where he's, a sexual assaulter, rapist, whatever he is. Again, this is all alleged. I'm not making any claims. I don't know for sure. I'm just telling you what I read today. But, if he has communicated to the world that he doesn't want to exist up here, he wants to exist down here in the state of nature, then you can't have a double standard. I think I don't want to repeat myself, but that's kind of the point.
No, and I agree with you. I'm with you 100%, right? Just like, when people have this hatred for police, I'm going to get back to the self-defense part, because I actually helped somebody, right? And he was a member of a gang, and a rival gang, actually. I was in jail with him while I was fighting another case that I was set up by the police department in a very big city here in the United States. So, but I'll get to it. But going back to this part right here, Patrick, about what you just said, right? And for people that are out there, like for instance, viewing stuff about anti-police and all that, I don't support the job itself, but that does not mean that these individuals are not human beings, right? So at some point, I used to be very pro-police, very pro-government and all that. So I fell off of that when I realized that all of this was unjust, and of course I had to feel the foot of tyranny upon my neck. Like I just explained to you, I had to fight them off to be able to, learn that all this is nothing but an immoral system. And if I want to do something about it, I must look at myself in the mirror and reflect if the actions that I'm taking are moral before I can try to talk somebody about morality. Right? That's the first step. So um, if anybody takes anything from this before, like, people start saying, "Oh, attack the police" and all that, and I'm from the south, right? I was born in Mexico, and over there, we have the belief that you must kill a police officer when they enter your home. That's it. You don't let them leave alive. So we're cop killers, and I'm not saying we're murderers. You don't go and hunt them down just because they wear a badge or nothing like that. I mean, I can actually say I'm a cop killer by nature. Okay, and doesn't mean, like I said, that you do hate crimes against a class or anything like that. No, it's just that you have to have the mentality that you're like a murderer killer, a rapist killer, or anybody that commits a crime against you or is going to commit those kinds of crimes against you. Yeah, you have to have the willingness to defend yourself. Killing in self-defense. I'm not talking about killing in, like, oh, go attack somebody deliberately or violate them, basically commit violence against them, right? There's a difference between self-defense and violence. So that does, like I said, that does not mean that I'm gonna go and hunt down a group of people just because I have a disagreement with them. That's not what I'm spewing here. So just to clarify that. So if we want to make a change, right? For instance, with myself, right? If I want to make a change, especially with like police officers in today's day and age, that we know that they're not only getting trained, but somehow their critical thinking goes out the window when they put on that badge and that uniform. Is and here in Texas, right? I have not been treated any badly from police officers like I have been treated in other states. Like I've been beaten up, I've been caged up, falsely accused, spent time in jail, and that's what I'm gonna get to in a little bit. That has not created a hatred for police officers upon me. Why? Because at the end of the day, just like I'm a human being and I have errors, right? And if I want to learn anything about morality, is I gotta be open-minded. So with that open mind, I have to also approach these individuals in such a way where I can bring in, hey, look, maybe the job you're performing is not really ethical on its face, right? And so on and so forth. Basically, just to engage in a conversation before getting into this bashing of, oh, you're the bad guy and I'm the good guy kind of stuff. So I just want to clarify that. I'm
Yeah,
not a
the worst way
cop
to change
hater
anyone's mind
and
is
all that. Go ahead.
to tell them that they're the bad guy. That's the worst way to change anyone's mind,
Exactly.
because it just instantly, just like a light switch, shuts their brain off. They don't listen to anything else you have to say.
Hmm.
It's also important to treat people like individuals. Just because, and this is a controversial point that I've made before, just because somebody is wearing a police uniform does not make them necessarily evil. Like, there are volunteer police that don't even get paid with tax money, that only work private events, yet they're certified cops. That exists. So just seeing the uniform itself on somebody doesn't mean that you should that they're a threat, that they're a bad person, that that they've ceased reciprocating rights. You have to treat people like individuals. Take everyone and every
Exactly.
relationship you meet on an individual one-to-one basis.
And to my point, I just had an experience about a month ago, and I was downtown Austin, Texas, right? We got a lot of Black Lives Matter still protesting out there. It's the middle of the night, right? I stopped by to grab me a bite in front of the university, and there's this young kid, who sees a cop, and immediately he's like, gets all upset, and he starts spewing like, hatred thing. And I said, look, he was talking to me about, because there was a homeless, another homeless individual that we got a hotel for him for the night because he had just, jumped over here from another country and decided to just take the risk to come, to the U.S. And like I told him, look, there's nothing really for you to do here in the U.S. anymore. This country is gonna be worse than a third world country. So if anything, you may want to go. Like I plan to go back to Mexico pretty soon, right? You may want to go and start over somewhere, right? Because the economy here is gone. So I'm not trying like. So anyways, so the this young kid, he's like, Black Lives Matter. These guys are he's gonna kill me. I said, no, man, he's an individual, just like you and me. Okay. And I had to explain to him the same thing about like things I had to go through, feeling the boot of tyranny myself, and how that has not created any hatred upon me. I told him, if you really want to change your life and change everybody else's life around you, the, the one thing you don't want to do is hate those who you consider your enemies. Because when you do that, it clouds your judgment and it clouds your vision that you want, if you want to change their hearts, for the better. If you believe you have, some morality in you and you want to pass that on to them, having hatred with them, you're not going to have a good conversation. So I said, what you want to do right now, if, piece of advice, go talk to him. He's like, oh man, he's like, you're going to say anything to me because I'm black? I said, dude, you need to get that out of your head. That's the tone of your skin, it's gonna make an impact upon him. In fact, I can tell right away that he's sitting there and he just wants to grab his food and leave. Like, I don't know what he's up to, what's going on. You really don't know what's going through that guy's head. So go talk to him. I said, people here in Austin treat me, really well. Like these cops, right? I talked to them, they have pulled me over and all that. But it's how you engage as well. It's also how you present yourself. Sometimes, I'm a big loudmouth and talk a bunch of nonsense, right? And you do it because to cope with some anger issues, right? That's I want to say some kind of therapy for me. But that doesn't mean that you go and commit actions of aggression against somebody just because you disagree. So again, I don't want to repeat myself. But anyway, so I told the kid, if he wanted to change something within him, go talk to the guy. Like, go over there, grab your drink. At the, it's not taco stand, it was one of those food trucks, right? We're eating, Middle Eastern food. So anyways, and I said, go, just say hi to him. And yeah, he engaged in the conversation. He's like, hey man, if I had not talked to you, I would have still believed that this dude had some kind of hatred upon me. And so, but you talk about the school system, the indoctrination camps and state indoctrination, that's what they're spewing upon these kids. That I don't know, but that's what he told me. That that's how he was raised by his family. That's how he was raised in school as well. To kind of like have this fear for the police. So another thing, if you fear somebody, more than likely that fear is going to cause upon you to react a certain way. And then instead of maintaining a peaceful interaction, you're just going to escalate the situation and make it worse and worse and worse because you're not going to be conscious there. So that's just my take on that, right? About the police thing and how to engage people. So now let me go back to the self-defense part because I went on a tangent, Patrick. Apologize for that, man. There was this guy who came from Chicago. We were in Las Vegas.
Hold on, before you go on, I want to point people out to a video that I published a while back. It's only a minute and a half long on my channel that you should go and search up. It's called "The Kindest Death Threat I've Ever Received," and this is a guy representing the local police department calling to inform me that they have a warrant for my arrest, and it's basically a death threat that he's calling to make me aware of, but just listen to how this guy talks. It's literally amazing. Okay, let's give me one more thing and then let's move on.
Yeah. So the self-defense thing, going back to it, right? Again, just because somebody has a felony does not, after they've been convicted, serve their time, etc., does not take away the right to self-defense. So the individual, there's two gangs that are very well known here in the United States. One starts with a B, one starts with a C. Well, this guy was one of the C gangs, right? And he came from Chicago. He was on probation, whatever. And so one of his rival gangs members came to hunt him down from Chicago all the way to Vegas and try to shoot him. And so he was able to take that gun from the aggressor and shoot him instead and kill him. Oh, I dealt, so what happened, right, is he ends up going to jail. And then all of a sudden they want to give him the needle because that's what Nevada does. They give you the needle,
oh, wow.
Or whatever. So then he said, I'm asserting self-defense. So the public pretender telling him, well, you don't have self-defense. I said, hell no. Yes, you do have self-defense. How are you going to lose the right? Especially when you come into possession of a firearm, that firearm wasn't even yours. And he's like, but I called 911 as well to report this because and it's on camera too. So everything's on camera. Basically, everything says makes a case for his self-defense. But then the judge says, well, no, I don't think I'm going to take that testimony because it really is going to create disturbance here in his case. So the judge just remanded, assigned a lawyer upon him, said just file a habeas corpus and then you just go from there. Um, but right now, yeah, no, it's like, dude, he just told you self-defense. Self-defense withdraws the charges right away. But obviously, because the guy was on probation, he already had a felony. There's no way you can have self-defense. You see where I'm going with this, right? So
Let
I'm
me
going
get
back
the
to
story
safety
straight.
of
So
felony.
it was two members of one of the C gang, one was the B gang. Don't
Yes.
you have to hurt innocent people to get into both of those gangs?
Look, Patrick, I don't ask. A lot of these guys that I met in jail, a lot of the times they're not even trying to hurt people. They're not even there for theft or nothing like that. Usually it's there for possession or for, I want to use this word, right, for hustling in the street without, because they don't believe in that. All they believe is like, well, I don't have a family. And a lot of times gangs and the stories I heard, some of these guys cry with me, Patrick. Okay? So when people talk smack about individuals and judge upon them, they a lot of the times they really don't know the other part of the story, right? So half of these guys opened up to me, told me things. I help people in there, reduce sentences, whatever. Because for some reason, I don't know, while everybody's getting entertained with love and hip hop in jail, I'm over there, just getting stuff, and I have a whole suitcase full of paperwork with case laws, just studying and studying and studying, right? And while we get free time or whatever, I'm sitting there, and they had to move me from several units because, come on, Patrick, they don't want you to wake up people. And that's what led my rude awakening from this statism of supporting what is it, basically the libertarian right wing side of I still have some kind of statism, minarchism, to full blown of hey man, the state is nothing more than an entity of death. That's all it is. Okay, they finally woke me up. So while I'm sitting in there with these guys, I also got to see other things that are not shown, not even mainstream, that half of the people don't know because nobody really sits down and talks with people. It's the same thing with this young kid that had the fear of the cop. Other people have fear of these individuals because they have some kind of label upon them. To them, it's nothing more than a family because something happened while they were growing up, and these are some of the stories I heard. Whether they had mom problems or daddy problems, and so they don't have support. They don't have that unconditional love, right, of the individuals that are supposed to protect them. So they're looking for protection and connection somewhere else. So what do? Well, they gotta join some kind of brotherhood to feel accepted and appreciated. That's what people don't understand at times. So it's like when we start platforms here, a lot of the times we do it because we're trying to connect with people, engage or connect in some kind of way, right? And that's because that's how we are as humans. We like to connect with like-minded individuals and somehow feel some kind of support, especially moral support. Okay, so that was my experience. So I don't regret going to jail. I don't regret, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm going to jail because I'm a criminal, nothing like that. No, I don't regret the experience, even though it was painful because I learned a lot, a lot. What is it? Out of this. Um, so going back to it, this individual, the C, you know, he was trying to get help because they really threatened him with a needle. So he's basically trying to save his life. And he's like, I'm out here on probation, and they tell me that I can't be out here on probation. I skip my probation, and I'm like, dude, screw the probation. Just go back. They're probably gonna relinquish your probation. You're gonna go back to Chicago, and they're probably gonna make you serve whatever is left of your sentence, whatever you had going on, right? But right now, you need to save your life. and these people are trying to kill you under the disguise that a piece of paper takes away your right as a human being to defend yourself from an aggressor. I said, that ain't right. So that's what woke me up to all this voluntarism and whatnot. So for a lot of people, sometimes you gotta experience the pains. You gotta be amongst the people that have really seen some of the most atrocious things, or they have to, survive, you know, the most atrocious things, so you can actually see their experience and not fall, or in that category, or judge. Another thing that that prevents us, I think, from finding morality or asking questions about morality or ethics is that, for instance, myself, I'm very judgmental. I'm not gonna deny that. So that is one of the things that as human beings will hinder us, having a prejudgment right before seeing the other side. There's every truth is a half truth. So you got to see the other truth before making a judgment. So going back to the felon thing, that doesn't take away the right of a human being to defend themselves, especially if one thing doesn't warrant the other. So you say,
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with how
okay,
gangs work. Don't you have to do something that hurts innocent people to get into a gang?
Not necessarily. Not
Oh,
necessarily,
really?
because I know a lot of, and I want to be very clear. I'm not involved with any of them, but I grew up with them in Mexico.
Okay.
Of these business people, people say, oh, these people are criminals, whatever, because there's the cartels, right? Put it this
Yeah.
way. The cartels are nothing more than business people. All they're doing is trying to protect their assets from the other gang, the gang in uniform, who are trying to steal from them or trying to charge them for crap. Now, there are some groups, right, that actually give a bad name, because just like these anarcho-communists give a bad name to the word anarchy, right? Because they're doing all the opposite of what anarchy is all about. Anarchy just means no rulers, while the anarcho-communists actually do want rulers.
Wait, are you saying that there are Mexican
Yeah,
cartels that are you saying that there are Mexican cartels that don't hurt people?
no, I'm not
Oh,
saying.
okay. I was going to say, what are you saying right now? I don't understand.
Okay, let me clarify this.
Yeah.
So the initiation of the cartels is traced back to where people are trying to survive an economical system where if you don't have an education, you can't have a certain type of job, so half of the people in Mexico can't have the education that is required, because you gotta pay for education in Mexico. Okay, so you gotta have that little state title, that little state, and I have a bunch of them. I was an A student and all that. So I grew up around half of the people who are already basically leaders of cartels in Mexico. Now they are rivals, but I haven't seen them in such a long time. I just got word from that's what they do, and they inherited because either their parents or whatever, right? So I grew up amongst them. Now, does not mean that every individual who's a member of a specific group is a bad guy. Okay, it goes back again to the disconnect. They're looking for family. Doesn't make it right. I'm not making an excuse.
Yeah,
Saying
the
that
intentions
it's
behind
right.
the intentions behind it don't matter. Like if you were abused as a kid, if you were, abandoned as a kid, if you were lonely, none of those are excuses for hurting people, right? So
No. So like the cartels basically starts like, in a small community where you're not getting protected because you have people that rape your family, that has killed somebody, that somebody stole from you. So slowly you start forming little cliques as little kids, and you build something bigger. And you're just like, okay, well, if I hustle this, and I was a hustler when I was a little kid. I never did drugs, nothing like that, but I was a hustler. I was like try to skip school or catechist, whatever, right? And I have like very close friends. I mean, I'm talking about like close, uh, very well connected friends to me. Like, and we didn't have like the luxuries that Americans have. So we didn't have like electricity, running water, or sewage. We didn't even have, I was living in a cardboard house when I moved here close to the border from South Mexico before I came to the United States, right? So again, in order for somebody to really learn about a specific group or a specific situation, you really have to dig deeper rather than just taking basically hearsay and creating that as the final, what is the definition of what something is. In this case, would be like cartel thing, like you're saying, like, well, don't they hurt people, all that? Well, what is the intention behind the hurting? Are they hurting in self-defense, or are they hurting because they're deliberately violating somebody?
Yeah, I don't
That's the
think I've
question
ever heard
I'm asking.
anybody like sit. I don't like. Are you saying that there's members of cartels that have never hurt anybody?
No, I want to say that, yes, because
Interesting.
what they are, half of them, they probably never used a gun. They never had to use a gun. All they do is basically they're just part of the trade. I mean, what you would call mules, or what you would call, other kinds of trades, right? That have nothing to do with engaging in violent acts.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay,
Well, thanks for teaching me
so
something. I didn't know that.
yes, so I'm not trying to say I support any of that or nothing like that. I'm just saying that I grew up amongst them, so uh,
Okay.
you know, and that's that. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, I do want to contribute to your cookout.
Oh, cool.
So if you can post the link, and I may join you for the cookout.
You are welcome to
So
August 29th. You can find the details here. I'll pull it up here.
yeah,
It is disenthrall.me/come and cook it is the website with all the details.
oh, come and cook it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the website. It has everything except the Facebook group, but it's got the address, it's got the time, the day, and the donation link if anybody else wants to donate. Kind of last minute donations. Send them in now if you want to. PayPal.me/disenthrallme. And I will see you guys out there. All right, man. Well, thanks
Yeah, and by
for
the
calling
way,
in and talking about
every
that
penny
stuff.
counts. Are you gonna do another one? Last thing, I take your time, but are you still gonna do another feed the homeless pretty soon?
Yeah, we do that every year in December. Yep.
Okay, so you are gonna do this year as well. Okay, I just
Yes.
wanted to check. All right, Patrick. Well, thanks
All
for
right.
having me, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
you, man. The great-
We'll talk again. Take it easy.